At this point, Robo is super infamous for being the most rare and expensive Skylander ever released. He wasn't ever meant to be this rare or expensive, but just because Skylanders was pretty much already on its deathbed when he came out, he ended up being super scarce, and nowadays he goes for an absolute ton of money. As someone who's recently finally pulled the trigger and actually bought a Robo and spent all that money to get the rarest Skylander ever, do I think he's really worth getting? In this video, I'm going to be discussing all of that, pretty much all the ins and outs of Robo, what there is about him and what he offers to your experience with Skylanders, and whether you should buy him based on what type of fan you are. Rarity aside, a lot of people really want Robo just because of how cool he looks. I remember seeing the Imaginators poster for the very first time and seeing Robo and instantly knowing that's him. That's the one I wanted more than anyone else. It kind of always ends up working that way, that's the final Skylander to ever release for that game. That's the one that I want the very most. Robo instantly caught my attention because he has one of the coolest designs ever. I think a lot of people want this guy just because of how cool his design is, and his figure definitely carries over this awesome design aesthetic. His figure is super sleek with one of the coolest weapons of any senseis, and just the overall color scheme looks very nice. There's very high figure quality here, and it's an awesome piece to have in your collection, which makes him even more sought after even if he wasn't such a rare Skylander. Playing as Robo is actually really fun. I really like Robo's gameplay. It isn't anything too special, and I can understand a Skylander, how much you enjoy them is very much going to be subjective, and of course some people aren't going to enjoy him as much as others, but personally I really like him. I think he's a pretty powerful Skylander that's always fun to play as. For the most part, he's always been one of my favorite senseis from Skylanders, Imaginators. But can I say the same for you? No, I can't. So I don't know, you really have to try him out to be able to know if you like him or not. But for the vast majority of fans, he isn't really a bad Skylander, and I feel like most people are at least neutral on him, where they might think he's a mid Skylander, but most people really aren't going to hate on this guy too much, and most people I feel actually kind of like Robo, at least a little bit. Another very important aspect to look at while covering Robo is always going to be his level. He is a very, very rare case of a Skylander which you can place on the portal and it unlocks you a new in-game level. Only 4 Skylanders ever had this: Robo, Wildstorm, Crash Bandicoot, and Neo Cortex. Crash and Cortex both came with the same level though, so arguably one of them shouldn't even count. Wildstorm and Robo both come with their own levels, which is a very cool feature. Robo comes with the Lost Imaginite Mines, which is just a ton of extra content. To be able to get an entire extra level out of one Skylander, I really feel like makes him deserving of being the rarest Skylander of all time and the most expensive, because he does come with this extra level. It is so much more content than one Skylander could ever offer. A level I think is infinitely more valuable than a single Skylander, a single moveset. Being able to play through an entire level and have it when like half the Skylanders fans, or I would say way more than half of the Skylanders fans, don't even have the ability to play through this level, and you do if you have Robo. I think it's a very cool feature. The level itself, it's not the best. I think this level could definitely use some work. It isn't the best one I've ever seen. I think it's probably pretty average as far as Imaginators levels go, but as far as the entire franchise goes, it's definitely a below average level. I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, but it's still a level, and a lot of people actually like it a lot more than I do. I'm sort of in a small group of people that doesn't really like it that much. I think the masses seem to enjoy this level quite a bit. But does the figure, design, gameplay, and level all add up to actually being worth around $350 for one Skylander? This is almost never the case. It's very hard to find an instance where you can actually justify this Skylander being worth that much money. You could buy a Nintendo Switch and a game for that same price. There's a lot you could buy with $350 in this modern day market, where getting one Skylander is that really worth it? I don't know, and that's what I'm going to get into next. For extremely dedicated fans of the Skylanders franchise who absolutely love everything that it stands for and have been playing it for years on end, is this guy worth it? Maybe. If you have every other Skylander and this is the final one you need, the final cherry on top of your entire collection, complete your base set, other than of course chase variants, which those are arguably rarer than Robo, I think this is an amazing piece to get, and I think it's going to be worth it for those collectors. Is it worth it for casual fans of Skylanders who are maybe just getting back into the community or just keep up with it enough because this was part of their childhood, but they don't really have $350 to be dropping on a Skylander? I don't think so. For those fans, obviously, I don't think it's a good investment to get a Robo. I think you should wait on it and at least get all the other figures before finally buying the rarest figure ever released. Robo, I think he's always going to be worth it for those extreme collectors, those dedicated Skylanders fans. Someone like me who really does enjoy making Skylanders content and I want to provide the best possible. I think getting Robo, of course, it makes sense. He's a super rare Skylander, so if I can make content about him, show him off to the world, then I want to be able to do so. So I kind of have a reason to want to get him. But if you're just a casual Skylanders fan who enjoys the games, maybe you don't even enjoy his Imaginators as much, then I would say pretty much avoid this guy 9 out of 10 times. There might be that one exception. There might be that one super fan who really wants Robo. Robo is the one Skylander you really want. In that case, just get him. I don't think it's a sin for you to buy a Skylander, even if they're super expensive, just because you want them. A lot of people, sure, they may clown on you. It doesn't matter. If you want to get that Skylander, if you think Robo looks awesome, just get him. Just play as him, and then you can say, hey, I have the rarest Skylander that ever released in my collection. It's a pretty dang cool feeling, I will admit. So I would say for those people, absolutely go for it and get Robo. It's always going to be pretty much completely subjective on whether anything is worth how much money you're going to spend on it. There is no mathematical calculation that you can use to say how the fun factor or, you know, the satisfaction you get out of Robo, is that worth the dollar amount? No, there isn't any conversion for that. There's no formula that actually gives a solid, concrete answer to whether it's worth it to make that purchase. It's always going to be up to you as a person, as a consumer. Would you want to buy Robo? Let me know in the comments down below. For some people, I think it's absolutely the move. Some people, for the most part, I would say stay away from him. Myself, personally, I got him and I could not be happier. I love having Robo in my collection, saying that I have the rarest Skylander and the last one ever released, as he has one of the coolest figures as well. I do thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye, everybody.